time to talk a little boxing with Xavier Porter, our good friends from BrooklynFights.com. Check them out online. In-depth features, interviews, videos, merchandise as well. Hand wrap, snapback hats ready to be purchased online at BrooklynFights.com. A great source for boxing, hard-hitting news, boxing along the East Coast, focus on New York, surrounding area. And, of course, BrooklynFights.com, the exclusive sponsor of the Warm-Ups Weekly Boxing segment. What's going on, X?
Hey, how you doing, Rich? How's everything?
Everything is going well, and appreciate a couple moments as always. All right, let's get into the Khan and the Canelo fight. You, as well as many, predicted, I think you were right on the nose in that, but predicted the knockout to come right around the 6 or so. I thought for 5 rounds, Khan was fighting, I don't want to say a brilliant fight. I think he was doing exactly what he needed to do. It was an entertaining fight. He moved well. We saw the hand speed there, the combinations early on, kind of disrupting Canelo's timing and aggressiveness. But look, at the end of the day, there's a reason why Canelo Alvarez is Canelo Alvarez. I know you always like to kind of break down the anatomy of a knockout or TKO, but what did you see on that one?
So Khan moving very well. And Canelo just, biding his time, waiting to get closer, using the jab to the body just to set up the overhead set up the overhead right. I feel like Khan, he boxed very well the first couple of rounds, but I just saw Canelo getting closer and closer and just using his shots accurately, pinpointing where he can get his get that right hand in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I saw.
Yeah, and Khan
and I also feel like I feel like a lot of people disagree, but I feel like Canelo was winning the fight 3-2 going into the 6th. A lot of people say Khan was winning 5-0 or 4-1. I disagree.
I probably gave Alvarez maybe a round or two. I don't think that Khan was blanking him. But think about this. I think it was more of what Khan was doing and what Alvarez wasn't doing, which wasn't a bad thing. That kind of sways the scoring. And you're right. On that knockout, you see Khan, he's kind of fainting and then tries to lead with that left counter, with that left hook, I should say. So when it's all said and done now, look, it does set up for the mandatory between Alvarez and GGG, and I think Alvarez does the right thing, takes the fight, hopefully in September. That's certainly a fight I'm not going to say the sport needs, but I think that's a fight that the sport certainly craves, and I think boxing fans want to see that, right? You want to see these two guys, heavy hitters, power punchers, go in there and just kind of throw.
Yeah, without a doubt. Canelo, Triple G, he's just a beast, that it's like whatever you hit him with, he walks through it. He absorbs it and just walks through it. And I think putting Canelo in front of Triple G, we'll probably see more of Canelo using his leg work and his footwork, and hopefully won't stand in front of this man and just try to, trade shots with him.
Now, there was a report that came down probably about 6 or 7 hours ago that Freddie Roach, Manny Pacquiao's trainer, was asked by Top Rank and Bob Arum if Pacquiao could fight Canelo Alvarez, and Roach basically said, look, I'll wait and see. I want to see what Canelo is going to do against Khan before they make that decision. And I think now that Roach has seen Canelo's fight last Saturday night, he probably feels there's nothing that Canelo brought to the table that Pacquiao can't combat. I mean, is that also a wild card here with maybe Pacquiao and Alvarez?
I think that fight would make no sense. Honestly, I don't see that fight taking place. I don't even see the reason why, unless they're just doing it for the money. I mean, you still have to contend with the fact that, yes, you beat Timothy Bradley, but you were outschooled by Floyd Mayweather. So why would Canelo be given that fight? I think if anything, Manny should fight maybe the winner out of Postol and Crawford, or maybe even fight Jesse Vargas or someone on that level. But I just don't see the reason why Canelo would fight Pacquiao. And I don't think that fight would last long either. I think if they would make that fight, if that fight was to take place, it would be over maybe even quicker than Canelo and Khan.
But that's where I think you make the argument, right? Because they look at the way Pacquiao dominated Bradley, and then the argument is, well, Bradley's a much better fighter than Khan, and we saw what Alvarez did to Khan. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm playing both sides, devil's advocate. That's where I think people would turn around and say, okay, this would be a good fight. I want to get your thoughts on the D.C. fight on BET. And they got, look, the DMV area, the Washington area, Maryland, they've got a lot of young fighters. Dusty Hernandez Harrison, who has only been in the pro game a couple years now, is close to almost 30 fights in his pro career, looking for the 30th win or 29th, I believe. He takes on Mike Dallas. you know, you look at the welterweight division, you look at some of these rising guys, and here's a guy that, and I've been critical of Dusty Hernandez in this regard. I think he's a very good boxer. He's a young and skilled boxer, but I think when you push guys to give them W's, right? When you just compiling, eventually the powers that be in the world of boxing are going to say, what? You need to step up. Now, this is somewhat of a step-up fight, but again, he's an extremely talented boxer. I do like this card, but what were your initial thoughts on this fight?
It's pretty much the same as you. You know, he's basically piling his record in hopes to get a better fighter or get a better fight set up for him later on. Just to, you know, kind of continue to keep his skills up. He's fighting someone who was also at one time a top prospect,
yep.
Mike Dallas.
Yep.
You know, so it's I wouldn't say it's like a career defining match, but it's a match where you can just kind of really assess his level of skill. And depending on if he does well, we'll see what happens next. If he does poorly, then we'll know exactly what kind of person we have in Dusty.
And that, to me, that's why I think you might have to look at it as almost, I like to say maybe kind of like I don't want to say a gatekeeper fight or career defining as you alluded to, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, the people that follow boxing kind of get it. You kind of, the measuring stick, if you will. And we forget.
Exactly.
Dallas fought Lopez. Yep. Mauricio Herrera, Matisse.
Yeah.
Again, you know, this is a guy that's had 21 wins in his career. He's lost to some good fighters. You have a hot prospect that, and here, you know, one of the storylines too is that Hernandez, who signed with Rock Nation, split with his father as far as his trainer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of, and I think if you kind of read it between the lines in that, he's probably not going to go on the record and say why. I think that goes a little deeper, but, you know, again, he's with Rock Nation. I think he's training over at Headbangers, the famous Headbangers. I think what's interesting is he's getting some good sparring in as well. You know, he's training with guys like Broner and Rob Easter and whatnot, and Lamont Peterson and Trout. I think sometimes if you, for instance, you break away from your trainer or manager who just happens to be your father, to me, I think it's more about the mental aspect, right? Because you're so used to having the guy in the corner. You're so used to listening to someone bark directions at you. You're so used to a certain regiment. That's why I think this fight is interesting, because I want to see his next 2 or 3 or 4 without, you know, his father kind of whispering in his ear, so to speak. And that's why I think watch his next 2 or 3 fights and just see how they unfold and really see the level of competition, right? Because I think at the end of the day, all you have is your corner. If you don't have your corner, you're lost.
Yeah, and if that's absolutely true. If you're not connected to your corner, or if you don't believe in your corner, then you're really just out there in the water by yourself.
I'm curious to get your take on this, because we're seeing so many young fighters too in the New York area, where you guys are based out of, and we when you do a lot of good coverage with New York area as well, the boxing scene. Are you of the belief that sometimes a lot of the young fighters that you come in contact with or you interview, they have this preconceived notion that, you know, they look at some of the money guys, right? Or they look at a Floyd Mayweather where it's money, money, money. I got to get with these guys. I got to go with these guys so I can get, you know, pile up 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 wins, and I'm going to start to make the money. Or do you find some of these guys are a little more humble and kind of get the game early on, because they get somewhere, something gets lost in the translation, right? You flash a couple dollars, you give them a 6-rounder to an 8-rounder, you give them an endorsement. They think because they're on the money team or they're signed with Rock Nation, all of a sudden they got the silver spoon and they're going to be handed some championship fights or at least some opportunities. But how do you see it around where you guys are?
In the New York City area, a lot of the fighters that I've met with, spoken to, and you know, visited their gyms and things of that nature, these guys are here. They're very hungry, but they're also very loyal to the team that they have with them. You know, a lot of the fighters out here, they've grown with their team. So, yes, they want the money. They want the money just like anybody else that fights. But they also really understand that they're not alone and they can't do it alone. And they understand that they come from a certain foundation. It's like a family type of atmosphere with their trainers and things like that. So as they grow and as they succeed, they know that they need their day ones is what they call it, is what we call it out here, our day ones. So I truly understand that, you know, certain fighters, they think that, okay, like you just mentioned, you get a string of wins and then you want to join this big old promotional company. that's great and everything, but, what happens when you do join that promotional company and you leave the people that you started with?
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And sometimes the grass isn't always greener
exactly,
on the other side. Yeah.
So that's why a lot of these New York City fighters, they're hungry, but they stay loyal to the people that they started with, because they don't just want to succeed. They want everyone to succeed. It's like a big family.
Yep.
I don't just want to shine. We all going to shine together.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Are you going to be anywhere on the road this weekend? You going down to D.C., or are you going to be at the home base? What do you got cooking this weekend?
This weekend, nothing really. This weekend, I'm kind of taking a step back. But next weekend, we're going to be over in Oklahoma. My guy Adam Ewing,
nice.
He's going to be covering the Oklahoma card. And then on the 27th, like I mentioned previously, we're looking to get up to Niagara Falls and cover the Big Baby Miller card with GCB Promotions and RJJ Promotions, Keith Beltray and Greg Cohen. And then we're going to be looking to cover the Give a Kid a Dream charity out of Gleason's. Sean Porter actually is out here right now working out, doing his media workout over here at Gleason's. I'm going to be stopping by the gym later on.
So then we should expect a nice in-depth article on BrooklynFights.com, little video.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just asking, You're on a hot streak, man. You got to keep it rolling.
I'm trying. Me and my team, we talk almost every day, and there's a lot of things that we want to do. We just got our gloves. I don't know if you've seen those. We put our gloves on the website.
I have.
Store. Yeah, we love them. We're looking to branch out in some hoodies as well. There's a lot of things that we want to do exclusively within Brooklyn Fights, and also showcase the best of what the sport is all about, and in the real depth, the realness of the sport and how the fighters fight, and understanding where it comes from the heart. We don't want to just put out anything. I mean, we can go out and videotape every fighter in the world, and we can interview every fighter in the world. But is that really is that real content?
No. You got to go deep, right? You got to dig deep in the story, within the story. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why you guys are doing a fantastic job, and we always appreciate the weekly spots.
And we appreciate the time that you give us and showcasing on Brooklyn Fights on ESPN 97.3. We love y'all guys.
Feeling is mutual. Check us in the mail. All right, listen, go get some good stuff. And by the way, if you see Porter, ask him. He's a Browns fan, too. Ask him what he thinks about the draft.
Got you.
All right, Xavier. Be well, pal.
Thanks a lot, Rich.
All right, you got it. All right, good stuff as always from Xavier Porter, the official Brooklyn Fights, the official sponsor of our weekly boxing segment right here on 97.3 ESPN FM's edition of the warm-up. Don't forget to check them out online, brooklynfights.com. They really do a good job. They got some really good features. A lot of you guys are buzzing in on Twitter regarding Alvarez and GGG. A couple of you guys are actually wondering why I even mentioned Pacquiao. Well, listen, because the name is still there. He dismantled Bradley. So don't dismiss that for a minute. He dismantled Bradley. Alvarez knocked out. Khan is still sleeping. So to me, Bradley's a much better fighter than Amir Khan. More well-rounded fighter. To me, it almost makes sense.
BrooklynFights.com is your hottest stop for in-depth boxing coverage, features, and strong opinions on the world of boxing. Covering the fight life from Brooklyn to the world stage, BrooklynFights.com delivers the inside story on today's biggest names and emerging prospects, keeping it real, never biased, and brought to you from the world capital of fighting, Brooklyn, New York. BrooklynFights.com, your newest outlet for boxing. Visit BrooklynFights.com today. BrooklynFights.com. BrooklynFights.com.